Welcome to Real Estate Investors Wealth Academy TV, sponsored by REI Wealth Academy.
All right, guys, last video. This is John, REI Wealth Academy. Welcome back. We're rounding out Secret 8, Secret 9, Secret 10 here in a bit. I got my third video, final video for active listening on Secret 8. The one thing I want you guys to take from this is just, I shouldn't say the one thing, the few things I want you to take from are the tips that we got for you. And these are just some things to get you rolling. There are so many things that are out there. Every situation is going to be different. But at the end of the day, there's some key ones that I really want you to focus on overall. We already talked about making sure that you're listening 70% of the time, talking no more than 30% of the time. And how do you gauge that? Well, honestly, that's why we have the scripts. You already have some of those questions laid out. Let them talk. Let them tell you their life story if you have to. You might even be on the phone for an hour talking to people. And honestly, there's a couple deals that I've done where literally I've had somebody call me back out of the blue after I've been on the phone with them for an hour and a half months ago, calling up and actually putting a deal together, just making sure that that person feels comfortable with what they're doing, even though they have reservations, and just at every point in time, just really getting to the truth of what it is. And part of what I was doing was some of the tips I'm going to give you. Now, even though some of that was over the phone, I can tell you to make sure if you are Skyping with somebody, that could be a little bit different with technology or whatever, but it's not a bad thing to even practice while you're there. But if you're in person, especially, eye contact. Eye contact, eye contact, eye contact. You don't have to keep it, crazy and just watch them intently the whole time. But occasionally you want to make sure that the majority of the time when people connect, one of the things that they really connect with, and it's just the psychology of our brains, is we really connect with people that we actually create eye contact with. So it's okay every now and then to look off as you're gathering a thought or something like that. But make sure that when you are listening to them, you are actually looking at them when you're doing that. When you look at them in the eye or whatever the case might be, and try not to get distracted. Don't start thinking about all the other stuff. Really key into what they're thinking, but also make sure you're giving eye contact and give a pleasant smile. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be connecting. The vibrancy of life is supposed to be in your speech, in the nonverbal cues that you have. So be happy to be there with that person. Show that person that they might have a deal for you, but at the end of the day, show them just simply that it's a joy to be around them. And there's nothing wrong with that. The second thing that I want to get into a little bit is repeat sentences back. And number one, that's for you to be able to synthesize. Now, they might have gone on for a long, long time, and that's fine, but just take some of those key points and try to remember. And again, if you're being honest with yourself, you can say, hey, you know what? You were talking a lot of good stuff. A lot of this stuff makes sense. Do you mind if I just break out a pen and pencil? I know I'm not going to remember everything, but I feel like we're connecting. We're having a good conversation here. Let me just write some of these notes down as we go through and make sure I understand where you're coming from, and show a genuine interest. Again, that goes being introspective on yourself, knowing yourself, being able to jump back into that conversation, be like, you said this and this. It kind of cued into my head that you were thinking this. Maybe we could put a deal together, because maybe you went in and talking about maybe buying a house from that person. You're actually finding out that the person actually wants to get back into investing. So now you might have another partner instead. So again, you want to make sure that you're doing that. So being honest with yourself, repeat those sentences back to them. They like hearing, people in general. We are pretty narcissistic to begin with, so we do like hearing the same sentences that we heard back. And the one thing that people love hearing the most is their own name. Use their name when you're talking to them. Hi, John. Hi, Steve. Oh, that makes a lot of sense, Steve. Oh, that makes a lot of sense, John. No, I can see why you would want to invest in single lease options, John. That makes total sense. Make sure you're using their name, and you don't want to use it every single sentence, but make sure you're actually using it. And the thing is, the more that you use their name, when you see them again, when you're a dummy like me and you have a hard time remembering names, the more that you can put their name in as you're talking to them, the more you're going to remember it. Because I'm a situational learner, and the more words that I can put into play because I can remember parts of the conversation. I can remember things that really were remarkable for me in that conversation. So with that, I make sure that I try to put more names in there when that remarkable thing happens. That way I tend to remember the name a little bit better, or I write it down. The questions that you're asking, you want to make sure that they are clarification questions. If you're going to be repeating sentence back to them, then have a follow-up question as well. You do want to be leading them depending on what type of conversation that you're having, but you also want to let them kind of take the lead too, and you want to show them that respect overall. So those are a few of the tips that I find between making sure you keep eye contact, repeat sentences back to them, repeat their name, and always make sure that you're asking really good clarification questions. And again, listening 70% of the time, talking 30% of the time. That's John. I'm going to be signing off for the secret number 8, active listening. Remember to follow us on Facebook at REI Wealth Academy or REIWealthAcademy.com, the blog. Again, if you're in Roanoke Valley, you guys are killing it out there. It's awesome. Roanoke Real Estate Education Group on Facebook. Get after it, and we'll see you next time for Secret 9 and Secret 10. See ya.
Decide today you don't want to take a back seat. Finally break your financial life cycle. Learn more now at www.reiwealthacademy.com.